My name is Sam Limbaugh, and I wanted to talk a little bit about whether or not Jesus is real or not, whether he's the Messiah or not. It's always a hot debate and a hot topic, and whether you're a Christian or not, I think it's important to study things out and really figure out what's right for you and what you believe. Um, so a little bit about myself. I became a Christian 13 years ago, and when I was going into college from high school, I left God and kind of went my own way. And 4 years after that, I decided to figure out what I believed in and what I thought was real. So I studied out the Bible and just trying to really figure out if the Bible was even real or not, if it even made sense to me for it to be real. I studied out different religions. I looked at the Muslim religion, for one, just because of how many people there are as Muslims, and so that really intrigued me to think that so many people. Obviously, there's quite a bit of intelligent people who are Muslims. What's the reason for that? And historically and different things like that didn't really line up with what I believed. I also looked at the Catholic religion and that also with their traditions and not really sticking just to the Bible, but kind of having their own way and going through a priest to be able to be forgiven wasn't biblical, and so I decided not to go that route either. And it's interesting because the Bible is, for the most part, most books of the Bible have been documented, and because of the way that that science works now is we're able to really find out when the book was written, how old it was, to approximate date. It's pretty close to that date that they come up with. So in the Bible, for one, there's something that really drew me to believing that Jesus was real and he was the Messiah was just the prophecies that were made. In Micah in 5:2, which is in the Old Testament, Jesus was born in Bethlehem, right? That was the whole prophecy that he's going to be born in Bethlehem, and 600 years later in Matthew 2:1, that was fulfilled. Another scripture was in Isaiah 7:14, it talks about where Jesus will be born of a virgin. And that was 800 years later in Matthew 1:18-25 through 25, that became fulfilled. And there's so many different prophecies about Jesus and his whereabouts and things that are going to happen, just down to the specific detail. There's a scripture that talks about how Jesus, when he's going to be crucified, he's not going to be broken. Any bones are going to be broken on him. And later on, 1,000 years later, the priest comes. The prophecy comes into fruition where he's on the cross and they're going to break all of the three people who were up there's legs. Well, they come to him and they realize that he's dead, and so instead of breaking his legs, they just pierce his side, and so that was fulfilled. It's just interesting how the Bible lines up historically, and all these accounts happen with this one man. So I have something that I wanted to read. It's Evidence That Demands a Verdict, and it's by Joshua McDowell. It says, by using the modern science of probability in reference to just 8 prophecies, we find that the chance that any man might have lived down to the present time and fulfilled all 8 prophecies is 1 in 10 to the 17th power. So that's 1 with 17 zeros after it. That's like taking 10 to the 17 silver dollars and laying them on the face of Texas. They will cover all the state 2 feet deep. Now mark one of these silver dollars and stir the whole mass thoroughly all over the state. Blindfold the man and tell him that he can travel as far as he wishes, but he must pick up 1 silver dollar and say that this is the right one. What chance would he have of getting the right one? Just the same chance that the prophets would have had of writing these 8 prophecies and having them all come true in any one man. So just thinking about this, the logic and the statistics behind all these prophecies really happening to one person really helps sum up the verdict for me of how the Bible has to be real, has to be true. And a lot of it has to come off faith, because you're not always going to know the answers, and that's the way I think God intended it. But I think the most important thing behind it, regardless if you are searching something out, is to make your own conclusions, to really look at things, to not just go by what other people believe, what other people think, but to really search deep for what you believe. and there's a lot of debate whether or not, obviously, it's not medically possible for someone to be born of a virgin and not have intercourse. It's medically impossible. So a lot of people go off that of not being true. And those things that you have to battle with, and people have to tussle with and figure out if that's something that they can handle, and something they can believe, and believe that the Bible is true regardless of the things that it says. So for me, just with the prophecies that I've seen, and there's many of them, um, looking at the chances that would happen is just too um, unbelievable for me not to follow Christ. So that's the purpose of all this, is just to make sure that you're able to come up with your own verdicts, come up with your own conclusions, and really find out if Jesus is a Messiah or not. And for me, he is, and it's without a doubt.